yeah, I was always kind of able to kind of like be okay. Even when I was going through something or bad things had happened, like I could still like get my dick up for people. You know what I mean? Like I just was
I don't know
like,
what's going on in your body.
but I like I
No, I
just
do.
was,
Yeah.
was naturally a positive
Right.
person.
Teacher's like, okay, everybody, all right. Pop quiz time. We're going to do the vocabulary to it. And I just yell out, wait, I got to make my cheat sheet.
I like to joke that I make my living throwing away dead people's sex toys.
I can guarantee you there is nothing you have felt that I haven't felt.
Yeah, and I am a formerly miserable person.
If people don't know how you are, they cannot help you.
Anxiety is the rattling of the lid on the pot of boiling water.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's connected. Like me letting go of the past, me not hanging on to my anger, me like trying to become a present being.
You're not in your peak dieting phase now.
I mean, I was only in it for like a quick 6 minutes on a car ride once because I was in between.
Can we stop for snacks?
Yeah, I was equidistant between two fast food places.
So that if I'm in a situation with like my older daughter and she says something hurtful to me, like you're wearing a lot of statement jewelry right now.
In the very, very niche world of American ghost towning, my dad is a minor celebrity.
Well, we have 50% of the countries in dire poverty, is in homelessness. You know, LA is
50% of the country is in homelessness. That seems like not a correct statistic. Hey, this is Sean Conroy. Welcome to another episode of Sean Conroy Gets Happier. Like you, I'm in isolation right now. Maybe you're with other family members, but I'm by myself. So when I woke up this morning, I was excited because I had a class to teach. Hooray! Human interaction. These guys are writing original sitcom pilots, and this was the final class. And it was great. I mean, sure. First, I was just happy to see everybody. We read through somebody's script. We read through scenes and a couple of other people's scripts. It was fun. Then class ended, and I turned on the TV. There was a press conference going on. The president was providing some information about how truxaclock works, or something like that. So I'm watching it, and I just feel like something's off. I don't know what it is. I feel a strange disturbance in the force. I can't put my finger on it. You know how you can be walking around all day and something's off and you can't figure out what it is, and then finally you're like, wait, there are some people who still think Eli Manning shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy won 2 Super Bowls. He's not as good as George Blanda or Bob Waterfield. Jim Kelly never won a Super Bowl, and he had a lot of chances. So I was sitting there on the couch and I was like, what is bothering me? And finally, I realized what the problem was. I had pants on. I had put pants on for my class, and I still had them on. My old roommate, the Brazilian supermodel, said that when you're done with work, it's time for business casual. Like, hey, we're done with work, time for business casual. Boom, no more pants. So I took my pants off, and it was great. Very relaxing. I'm so used to it at this point. And I realized this could become a problem. I had put pants on because I had a class, and I needed to imbue myself with some authority. I needed to feel like I was in charge, and I think it's very hard to feel in charge when you're not wearing pants, if you're a man and not Scottish. But it felt uncomfortable. I'm so used to not wearing pants. So I guess we'll see what happens when this is all over. Will I be the guy who no longer wears pants? My guest today is Danielle Schneider. She's an old comedy pal of mine who I've worked with many times, and I love performing with her. We talked about a lot of things. She's very smart, and she's very wise. We talked about depression. We talked about medication for depression. We talked about the amount of useless crap I have piled in various places around my apartment. maybe I'll be inspired after this to do something about that, because it certainly seems like now is a good time. At the end, we got a little bit into how fucked up the country is right now, which at the time we discussed it was back in the fall, and things certainly don't seem to have improved. But we didn't get too into it. Anyway, I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you do too. Here's Danielle.
I have a therapist and a newly psychologist now.
Interesting.
Because I'm on medication now. And so
it has to be somebody with a medical degree.
Yes.
And you don't see both of them every week.
No. In fact, I see, the therapist I've been seeing on and off for years, just when I need, and that's more of a cat, like sometimes I go every week and then sometimes I'll wait a year or two. So we have sort of a fluid relationship. Yeah. Like I don't feel the need to talk it out right now. So like, I'm okay. Like, I got it on my own, and then sometimes I need it.
Right.
And then a psychologist came in when I needed some antidepressants, which in this last year, I had some family stuff that was going on that was overwhelming for me. And so I went on antidepressants.
And that was the first time?
I have to say I've always been a pretty lucky person in the sense that I've been naturally happy. I could sort of handle what was happening in my life. I didn't have any sort of depression. I believe, and this is a simplification, that there are kind of like two categories of depression, which is like situational, things that are happening to you. And then, like it is your system, and that is the biology of your body. And you are prone to that. I'm sure it's much more complicated than that, but
you are not a medical professional.
No, as I've said here, despite what everybody thinks, I am not a medical professional. But as I've experienced it, and as my friends and family, like those are kind of how I'd.
So there's circumstances in the moment that can affect your mood and your level of happiness, and then there's also possibly, some would say, chemical imbalance. I mean, certainly that's been proven.
Yes, of course.
But then also emotional states.
Yeah, like when
mental
something is
states.
happening to you that is beyond something that I could handle myself, that is when I needed medical intervention. And I have taken, my friend Casey Wilson was great about it because, I had always considered that I could handle stuff like, and this got so big where I wasn't getting out of bed. And that was a new place for me.
It's a symptom.
Yeah. And so then I knew that I couldn't handle it. And Casey was like, what are you doing?
Fix this?
No, like, what? No, why aren't you fixing this? Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, like, why aren't you doing something to fix this? You can. There's this great stuff.
You don't have to just lie in bed.
Yes, you don't have to think you are more powerful than it.
Right.
And so I went and saw a psychologist, and she put me on medication, and it really has been a godsend and helpful. And I'm still on it. It's been in February, I think it'll be a year. And in a year, we'll look at, how I'm doing and whether I need.
And so how often do you have to see that person?
I see that person about, every 3 months. Give or take.
To re-up the...
Yeah, just to kind of see like where I am in the medication. Is everything okay? Am I stable? How do I feel? And I have to take a test, kind of like, and just be very honest about how I am every day and how I get through the week and stuff like that. And one time we had to up it. I got a job during this time that was very regular. And for me, I'm very like, if I can be distracted, that's half of me battling my issues and things that are going on with me. And so I was working constantly, and it's a great way for me to avoid.
Right.
But then when that job stopped, I was like, I've been avoiding, and some of this stuff is still like here. Like, so when I'm not like avoiding it, when I'm not at a, 10 to 6 job, I need to be okay.
And I wonder if, you're saying it's a great way to avoid. I sometimes think about it as almost like the other way around, that the job, the regularity of the job is something I enjoy, and having structure is great. And then when all of a sudden that goes away, because I don't know, was this like a writing job?
Yes, it was a writing job.
The thing about writing jobs is they always end.
Yes, and for better or for worse,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, they could happen again or whatever,
yes.
but there's always like a period of time when you do it,
yes.
and then you're not doing it,
yes.
and maybe you start up again, or maybe you start a different one, but there's a period of time when it's done, and you're like, okay, I don't have to go to work today.
Yes.
What do I do?
Yes.
And for me, that's a lot of times, it's not like I haven't been dealing with anything, but now I have so much time and I have so much, or I had so much creativity and outlet for my creativity while I was writing. And now all of a sudden I don't have that, and everything just kind of comes in, you know?
Yes, it's both of those things.
Right.
It's truly both of those things.
Right.
And I am a self-starter and stuff like that, so I'm okay during that downtime usually. And I also have a writing partner and other things that I do besides that job. So, but this is one of those times where it was just like, oh, it's all this stuff that I'm dealing with. All this is still here, and I need to. And so Casey was like, go up, up, up. And I was like, okay. We kept joking to each other, up, up, up. And so she was very helpful. So many of my friends are on antidepressants, and it has been so helpful for them in their lives. And
do you feel like that was something you knew before you did this?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Okay. But I just was like, I think I got it. And I also, I think as a comedian, sometimes we get scared of like drugs and things like that because we're like, I'm funny and my neurosis is part of what makes me me. And
certainly
I want to
that is part of it for everybody. Yeah.
But guys, I'm still quick on the draw. I'm amazing.
I can vouch for that.
Oh, thank you. I think I have a glasses full type of, I look at...
Glasses full. It's not even half full.
No, it's all full. It's all good. And even when I had a problem and bigger, it's not like I haven't encountered anything before this that had come into my life. Right. But I always felt like it'll work out. And if it doesn't, I'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like
you'll still have the glass.
Yes. Even if it's not full, I could piss in it and drink that. Anything is possible.
Probably wouldn't be full, but it would at least be.
You don't know my bladder.
I guess that's true.
I can hold it for a while and really get some stuff out of there. I really gotta, you don't know what's going on inside
That's true.
me.
That's absolutely true.
But I just, and luckily enough, things have kind of worked out in one way or another, and it might not have worked out as I had thought it would, but in general, I kind of have a positive spin, and I think I just, the way I was raised, and I was lucky enough to have that point of view. You know what I mean? So I used to not, I think when I was younger and didn't know as many people, and I was like, why can't, people just get out of their bad mood? Like I didn't understand what it was. So, but yeah, I was always kind of able to kind of like be okay. Even when I was going through something or bad things had happened, like I could still like get my dick up for people. You know what I mean? Like I just was
I don't know what's going on in your body.
Again, you don't. Yeah. But I do. Was naturally a positive person.
Well, that was going to be my question is, do you I guess I wonder if it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy thing where because your attitude is things are going to work out, everything's going to be fine, when you are confronted with difficult circumstances or events that are not the happiest, you can go, I still have this attitude that things are going to work out, everything's going to be fine, so I'm basically still happy, even though in this moment, maybe that's not how I feel.
Yeah, I think so. Or just like, I think there's been a long running feeling, and I have put words to it more this year of like, I don't want to be upset. Like it feels so shitty. You know what I mean? Like to really, it feels really bad to be upset. Like it sucks. And it's not that I'm in denial of it, but like there's only so long I can stay in that headspace before I have to change it. And so I think for me, I am able to most days, and now with the help of medication, make a choice to not sink into negativity.
Right.
And I'm not saying everyone can make that choice because I think that's, but for me, I'm very aware
I sure
of
can't make that choice.
But you know what I mean? Like I'm very aware. I'm like, I don't want to feel this way. So I'm going to do something where I'm not going to feel this way.
It's funny because you were just talking about comedy and how the fear is that maybe the drugs affect the comedy. And I will grant 100% that I have negative tendencies a lot of the time, but I also feel like that is where a lot of my comedy comes from, is like pointing out, oh, you're saying this great thing, but what about this? You know?
Well, I think you can see it, but not feel that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I do think that, like, I'm also can be very negative. It's not, doesn't mean that I'm like.
I can vouch for that.
Yes, exactly. Like, I can be like, fuck those guys, you know, or like, that guy's a piece of shit, or like I can really.
He is.
Yes.
He is, by the way.
Or I can be like, ugh, like, I'll never get this job. So fuck. I'm not saying that I'm just like, I'm going to get every job.
Right.
Everyone's going to love me. It's
no,
not like
nobody
that.
wants to be around that person either.
No, I think I'm realistic.
Yeah.
But I also think that, like, everything's going to be okay, and that, like, hopefully everyone's going to be healthy, happy, and safe.
Right.
And have a roof over my head. That is, you know what I mean? Like, and that's okay.
It feels like that goes back to what I was saying, which is like having that long-term positive attitude maybe makes it easier sometimes to deal with short-term difficulties, because it's like, this will work out.
Yeah, my knee jerk. And then also going to therapy has helped too when I start to get negative, or like, you know, like the same bad thing keeps happening, or, you know, like in the career we're in, or I was having fertility issues many years ago, and like, and I just couldn't I was in a negative headspace, and my therapist was like, always has the expression, which is like, everything's going to work out unless you hear otherwise. Like, what? And it usually, you know what I mean? Or like, I'm always like, oh, this person's going to be mad at me, or this person that, and it's just like, that's just not real.
Your brain can create all sorts of scenarios where, you know, I was just talking about this with somebody the other day, where I emailed somebody and I hadn't heard back a half an hour later, and I just fucking spun out of all the possibilities of why my email was wrong, or what I said was wrong, or I didn't send it in time, or I sent it too soon, or whatever. And then, you know, of course, half an hour later, I got a perfectly pleasant response. And it was
but that's the shit that my therapist, and I'm like sick of that. Like, I'm exhausted from that. And so that's the shit I try and turn off now. And when I was younger, I don't know that I could turn some of that shit off because I didn't know how to. Now that I'm older, I do feel like, oh, shut up, you know, to that voice in my head. And it doesn't always work, but a lot of times I can be like, ugh, like, shut up, you know, like, that's just not true.
So that was going to be my question, is how do you do that? And is it literally just like how do you shut that voice up?
I say sometimes out loud, like, you're not real. I don't want to, that's just not true. Or like, or just
ma'am, this is a Starbucks. Classic improv entrance.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Please don't make me do a scene. But it's having to shut that voice up. My therapist would tell me to be kinder with that voice and be like, yeah, like, because sometimes I talk terrible to myself and that voice, but it's like, but you know, it's just like, ugh, like shaking it off sometimes.
We've talked a little on this show about how you sometimes talk to yourself in a way that you would never speak to someone else.
Yeah.
To a friend, or, you know, maybe you'd speak to somebody that way who took your parking space. But
I would. I have a real problem with that. Lock people in. No patience for that bullshit.
But you can be brutal to yourself in a way that you're not to other people.
Yeah, my therapist says, how many times have I said my therapist says? I'm so gross.
My therapist says I shouldn't say my therapist says.
And I haven't even seen my therapist in like months, but she'll be happy her voice is in my head. But like, talk to...
Shut up.
Shut up. But try and talk to myself as I talk to my daughter, you know, most of the time. I'm not saying I don't ever lose patience with her either, but like, most of the time I'm very kind to her and I'm loving. And even when I'm telling her, like, this is not the right way or this doesn't work, I do it in such a loving way. So talk to myself like I talk to her.
Yeah. Not easy, I think.
No, it's not. But if you think of...
I talk to myself the way I talk to your daughter, and I barely know her.
Please
I don't even,
talk
you know,
to her,
I'm like,
Sean.
hey.
No, but if you can imagine, sometimes if you can imagine yourself as the child you were, that is helpful too. Because, you know, no one should talk to you as a child. And think of all those people that talked to you that way.
Right.
When you were a child, it was so mean and it was so scary. And talk to yourself the way that you would have, that you were talk to as a child in a nice way. Like, talk to yourself as a child.
Right.
It's very kind.
Or that you would have wanted to
Yeah,
be
of course. As you know now, you should have been talked to.
Right. So, okay, that's one strategy.
Yeah.
Have you developed other strategies along the way that you're aware of as far as like, this is something that'll help when I'm...
Well, I used to think like talking it out with friends was a good thing to do, and it is. But sometimes, you can over-talk something with friends. You can talk to every friend about it. It's like you're polling the world. And like, just shut up about it already. That email. Like, say you sent that email, and then you started calling all your friends being like, did I do the wrong thing? Did I do... and then like, it's almost
Luckily,
like...
none of my friends would answer.
Yeah, but it's exacerbating it.
Yeah.
So like, yes, talk to
you
a
can
friend.
spin each other out and get each other more worked up. I feel like that happens a lot. We're doing it right now.
Yes. But I just think that like... just stop thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, distract yourself. Move on. This year, I used to be a huge reader, like read all the time. And then I sort of got, I had a kid and I have to watch, and I do love to watch a ton of reality TV. And so I just stopped reading as much as I used to. And this year I got back into reading, and that has been a joy. Getting lost in another world is very helpful.
That is really interesting because I feel like I have a lot of trouble reading at this point, focusing.
Yeah, I was too, but I just committed to it and got lost in it and read some really great books. And it's like anything, a muscle. It's like I said, I felt like I was reading maybe like just on like a long plane trip, but that was it.
Me too.
But now, instead of turning on the TV at night, I read my book.
I will now go to the library, check out a book, buy a plane ticket, fly somewhere, and fly
That's a really
back
expensive
just
habit.
to read the
I
book.
think you could do so
no,
much
the book,
less.
you get it for free at the library.
I know. It's the plane flight.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just the rigmarole of going through LAX.
The TSA.
Ugh. Well, if you get TSA pre-check, you could do it.
No, I feel like we're flooded all the time with so much.
Yeah. Well, I took Twitter off my phone.
Perfect.
I still have Instagram because I think of Instagram as a pretty magazine.
It's funny, we were just talking about this with somebody right before this,
Really?
where I find Instagram so much easier to deal with.
Because it's not so negative. It's mostly pictures.
Just photos.
It's a magazine. I don't get like news things. I just like to look at people's food and where they're traveling and maybe pictures of their kids.
Hey, there's that guy.
It's a magazine.
Yeah.
And I like it.
And you can curate it in such a way that you
Yes.
only see the things you want to see.
Twitter is a negative cesspool. I go on every once in a while, but I don't have it on my phone. I took it off my phone, so it's not something I grab for. I now grab for the book.
I think I might have
You
to
don't
do that.
need it.
No.
What do you need it for? Like, you need it, you're a comedian and you're a writer and
Thank
you're
you.
promoting
Thank
your
you.
things, and you use it as such.
Does it even really help with that is my question.
Well, I'm not reading it, so I don't know. But I do think, like, when I'm going on tour or I'm trying to promote something, I do think people need to know. Like today, we were announcing a tour, so I went on Twitter and I posted it there, but I had to do it on my computer.
Right.
And then I did it on Instagram too. I mean, and I at one time took Instagram off my phone just because it was it was
distraction.
funny. And I was just like, when I was really going through stuff, it was like it was just like information overload. It was too much for me, and so I took it off. I put it back on because now I'm like in a place that's better. But taking Twitter off my phone was great because I find that to be a very negative space.
It feels like sometimes when I'm trying to read, if my phone is even within reach, I have difficulty not
picking it up,
looking at it.
Yeah, but if you start to get in and make a habit of it, of reading, like I don't know if you used to, like I was just a voracious reader.
Yeah.
So I think you want it. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I've read so many books this year. And worked and raised a kid, and I've just watched
lots of things.
Yeah, did lots of things, and managed to watch all the reality TV I need to.
Well, one thing that came up, and it's definitely an issue for me, and my sense is, having been to your place a few times, it's not an issue for you. But it's the idea of like just having stuff that you have to deal with all the time.
What do you mean? mean?
Like you come in and there's a pile of stuff here and a pile of stuff there, and like clutter basically.
Clutter. Well, I live with my husband, and he is
Congratulations.
very. Thank you. It's been a good run. Had a good run, and he is a neat freak, but also likes a lot of stuff. So we have a ton of stuff, but it's all organized. So, and then I have an office in my house, and I'm mostly organized, and I'm not afraid to throw things out. Like, I'll throw out anything. My mother would go into my room when I was a kid and just like throw out stuff I needed. Mm-hmm. Like, there was never a permission slip signed. It was just like in the garbage.
And so that, because your attitude was, this is fine. We'll get through this. It didn't bother you, and you realized it wasn't a problem.
No. And so like, I'm okay to throw out anything. I don't like clutter. I like when you have a kid, it's all clutter.
Right.
So I'm trying to get her to clean up now, like, and I try, I'm not one of those parents that's like, don't sit on this thing. This has to be kept neat. Don't stain this thing. Like I sort of grew up in a house like that. So it's, to me, like, I don't ever want her to not feel like she can put her feet on something.
Kids do things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I couldn't go in my living room. Like, it was just not a room that was,
That's kind of how it was in my house too.
No, and I didn't want that. So I always wanted like things that like, I don't want us to worry about that, but I still want us to like keep it right and tight, like let's keep it together. So at the end of the day, I clean up. I have my daughter clean up. Matt's always sweeping, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make sure there's no dust on the floor.
But
somebody might leave footprints.
Yeah, but we're neat, but we're not like, you've been to our house.
Yeah.
There's stuff places.
It's very organized.
Yes, but it's not like bare.
No, but I think those are two completely different things, because I have a ton of stuff.
No, I can't.
But it's not
I can't.
organized
You
in any
need someone
way.
to get in and organize it.
Maybe I can
throw it out.
Maybe I can get your husband to come over.
Yeah, honestly, just throw it out. You don't need it.
Right.
You should not.
I don't need to hold on to my papers from freshman year of high school.
It's hard, even with a kid, because you're like, oh, these are the moments of our lives.
Right.
But I'm like, in the garbage. Like, Donna's even, my writing partner, Donna, Donna
I know
Furman,
Donna,
she's always like taking pictures of her kids' art. And I'm like, then it's just clutter in your phone. Like, before she goes on, I'm like, no, it's gone. Save two things. I have a drawer of like her art. And then I'm like, everything else goes. Yeah. Like, gives me anxiety to see like stuff everywhere, not to know where to throw it.
Yeah, I feel sometimes, and it's insane, and I'm starting to learn this now. I feel like, for example, for many, many years, when people would send me Christmas cards, I would hold on to those because I was like, well, they sent it, so... Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes the day I get it, it goes in the trash. I'm like, I received your message.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's never like... this is the weird thing about Christmas cards to me, is it's never like, hey, how's it going? This is what, I was wondering about you and whatever. It's just like photos, signature.
Yeah.
No,
and you know what? I used to keep, like, there's so much stuff that I kept that my parents moved out of their house recently, which was my childhood home. And they were like all my playbills that I kept from like every Broadway show I had ever seen or anything, or any show that I had been in or anything. And I was like, why am I keeping these? Like, all of a sudden I got very aware that like, this is clutter too. Mm-hmm. This is clutter too. It's all clutter.
Yeah. I mean, I had
like Chicago City Limits.
Yeah, I have the poster from Cabaret senior year of college.
You need to get rid of it.
But people signed it.
Who were you?
I was Herr Schultz.
Oh, yes, you were.
The flower.
The pineapple song. Let's get it right.
Yeah, the pineapple song is right.
If you could see her through my eyes.
She wouldn't look Jewish
at all. As a Jew, I love that song. No.
Well, I think back and I'm like, that is weird that we did that show in college.
We did it at my theater camp. I went to theater camp, of course.
I didn't, but it makes total sense.
Oh, it tracks beautifully. Yeah. And we did Cabaret there, and I was like, what is this?
It's such a
dark show.
And a weird choice for like a community theater or a college theater or theater camp. Well, I get doing it on Broadway.
Of course, but well, you know what I saw? Because you grow up as a Jewish person, you grow up knowing Fiddler your whole life.
Oh, I'm aware.
And I was even in a production, but I went and saw it this year again at the Pantages. Donna and I went, and I was like, this is the darkest show I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad.
But I didn't know that. I thought it was all
It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
It didn't scare me
The
at
ghost
all.
stuff?
Oh, Fruma Sarah and
Yeah.
stuff? No, that to me, like, it was like fun. It was like matchmaker. But then it's like the pogroms, and they're being driven from their lands. And then you also know that eventually these people will die in the Holocaust. Like, it's awful. It is a dark, dark, dark show. I mean, it needs to be seen, but I didn't.
It's lucky that they cut the fourth act before they brought it to Broadway.
Talk
about camps,
terrifying. Oh, Jesus Christ. But it's a terrifying show. It's a terrifying show.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's so dark. But as a kid, I was like, I was in it. I played the youngest daughter, Bielka. And I was like, this is a bunch of fun. And then to see it as an adult, I was like, oh, this is a sad, upsetting.
It also
show.
makes me think of what I mean, I don't remember when these shows were written. Cabaret and
I think Cabaret was the 60s, maybe?
And Fiddler
60s,
and Sound of Music, but it's like Sound of Music was about the Nazis. Yeah. Fiddler on the Roof was about the pogrom. Mm-hmm. Cabaret was about
the Nazis.
I'm starting to feel bad about liking musical
Annie
theater
is about
so
the
much.
Nazis.
Guys and Dolls was about the communists.
Well, both.
The Stalinists.
Yes. So you can't watch the show anymore.
I don't think so. But,
But throw out your Cabaret thing. Throw it out.
I don't know. I don't know if I can.
Throw it out. Throw it all out.
And videotapes too, like a huge collection of VHS tapes that I'm like, I'll convert these at some point to digital.
You're not. You have a year to convert them, and then they're gone.
They're gone.
I'm giving you a year. They're gone. I'm going to shoot them up with a gun. I'm going to buy a gun, shoot them up.
No, it's true. I mean, there's no reason to have these things.
No, throw them out.
Like you said, keep 2. I have 70.
Oh my God, Sean. I want to come to your house and destroy it.
You can't get in the door.
No, I'm going to light it on fire. That's what I'm going to do. I don't need to get in the door. I'm going to light it on fire.
No, it's not as bad as I'm making it sound, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that is...
You might need help.
I even went through once, because I have photographs that I've somehow managed to move with 15 times, and I got rid of about half of them, but I still have so
You
many
are a person
of them.
that cannot do it on your own. And I say that with love. Like, there are things journeys we can't go on by ourselves.
You're being my Casey Wilson right now.
Yes. And I am saying to you, you should not do this alone. You should get a professional involved who has no attachment to any of these things and who cares about you, but not really. And you need to do this with that person. And I have people, I know somebody, and they're great. And you should use them. You should do this for yourself.
I've already begun the journey.
You can't do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. And again,
we'll see.
You can't do it. You don't have the tools, and that's okay.
People have climbed Everest with no oxygen.
Didn't they die?
A lot of them did. Yes.
I don't want you to die. I'd like you to live. It affects me mentally every day if I think too hard about it. I have definitely become more involved in the sense that I give more money, I make more phone calls, I send more emails. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Things that before this election I was lax on. But I'm telling you now, because it feels so overwhelming and so big. And at first I was just giving money to everybody. And my husband was like, we have to make it count, we have to find a place.
Focus.
Yes, let's focus. Mm-hmm. Because at first I was like, any organization that, I was just like, them, and they get 100. And I was like, okay, this is good.
No, I did the same thing for like a year. Anytime somebody was like,
But let's make our money count in a way that is, let's focus on what right now means the most to us or you feel like needs the most help, and let's focus in that way. So, but yeah, I think, and then, not just saying it on Twitter or Instagram, like, I'm mad at this, or like, you asshole, like, that stuff actually makes me angry, and I don't put it anywhere, and then it feels like you're helping, and you're not really doing anything except for like just shouting into the void.
Mostly to people who already agree with you to begin with.
Yes, exactly. And you're not going to change anybody's mind on
following
Twitter.
you on Twitter.
So it has helped to call my leaders, or my representatives and get involved, make phone calls to people like during the last election, the local election, and the sort of like Senate races and all those. I was calling all over the place, got involved, took some classes or workshops of how I can help more, because it feels very overwhelming and feels very dark and feels very like everyone's about to explode and people are angry and the anger is palpable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a scary time for everybody. And it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little about maybe a class or a workshop that you did?
I took a workshop at the Jane Club, which is a female workspace that
in West Hollywood?
No, it's in Larchmont Village. Our friend June Day and Raphael started it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a workspace for women and mothers, a lot of them, who, a space that is just a great workspace for us to kind of like work out of. And also they have childcare, and it's a great place. And they also offer workshops on various things, like postcard writing or with different political representatives and ways that you can help, talking a lot about how we can be allies to people of different faiths and different colors that are not, it's just a way to do something or feel a way to help that feels like, okay, I'm not just in my bubble.
Not just in your bubble, and also I feel sometimes like it is so overwhelming, and for me, sometimes I just feel completely helpless in the face of everything.
And I feel like I can't help anyone, and I think we're all becoming aware of, or becoming more aware of just the divide in this country, and not that we didn't know it, but the racism in this country. And I think it's really bubbled to the surface in a way that has become very palpable, and it's scary and sad, and we have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I think as white people,
right.
we can't ask other people to do it for us. It's the white people that need to do it, make changes in the world. And
doing things, which is such a non-specific thing to say, but doing things makes you feel active and like you're making a choice, and
educating yourself.
Yeah, and maybe helps with a little of the mental, I don't know what the right word is, but the overwhelmingness of all the constant stream of crazy bullshit.
Yeah. And I don't talk about any of this intelligently, and I watch my words just because I just feel so ill-equipped to be articulate, because it's such an emotional issue, and I don't.
And English is your fourth language.
Yes, but you know what I'm saying? But it is it's such a thing it's a scary thing to talk about in public, because I don't think I'm going to do it right, and I'm not going to do it well. And
because it is such an emotional issue,
yes.
And people go, you don't know what you're talking about.
And they're right. I don't. And so that's why I'm trying to learn more and trying to do more, but it's never enough, and it isn't enough. There's so much to conquer, and there's so much to fix. And so I feel very overwhelmed by it. But instead of just standing there, I'm trying to learn more and do more. But I'm still not nearly doing enough as I could, and there are people doing much more.
Mm-hmm. Is it fixable?
Oh, God. If we start all over again. Oh, I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd like to make a better world out there. I'd like to.
My glass is no longer full.
I also am willing to sacrifice money for people that have, you know what I mean? I just feel like I'm willing to, when pay higher tax. I always think that
right.
I'm willing to pay higher taxes. I am willing to give of myself and time. I don't understand people that are, this is what the tax loopholes and all that shit. I'm like, you have so much money. why do you need more? Like, I don't understand. Like, how much more do you need? Like,
So you're saying nobody should ever have to work for money?
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like, when you have
but that's like the counter argument, which is like so
I'm saying that the
absurd.
system is set up unfairly.
Yeah.
And so the people that can't get ahead can't keep getting ahead. Like, it's a cycle. And, like, if you're behind the ball, you can't get in front of it. Like, and so.
Which ball? The 8 ball.
All of them. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a broken system, and so I am happy to help and to give money and effort and time, and I am glad that there is hopefully equal opportunities for men and women and you know what I'm just saying? Like, yes, it should be 50% of every, 50% men, 50% women, 50%, like, let's have every race, religion, like, let's get other perspectives.
Mm-hmm. It's time.
Time's up.
And in fact, I would go even further to say that there is an element now, and it is not 100%, but there's an element now of delight in the discomfort of other people.
I don't understand.
Like, I don't like my life, but at least I'm not that fucking asshole over there, And
but
let's make things harder.
Empathy.
Let's make it harder for him, And you know what I always say? I always say,
what do you always say?
The good of the many is more important than the good of the few.
Do you say that?
Or the one.
I'm glad you're saying that. No. But is that some sort of communist manifesto?
Oh, that's Spock and Kirk.
Oh, I thought it was Oprah. My favorite writer.
What a great author.
She has written books. Stop it.
I know. I feel like what's lacking with a lot of people too is like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but neither do you. And you're the one standing there, not you. Mm-hmm. I'm pointing in a different direction from Danielle right now. But like, this person is standing there going, you're an idiot for thinking that.
But I can't
And I'm like, that might be true, but
there are some idiots. If you,
sure,
like, there are, like, if you think the earth is flat, you're an idiot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you think that the good of that trickle down economics works, you're a fucking idiot.
That's been proven, by the way.
I know, but they still keep doing it. So you're an idiot.
Yeah. It's almost incomprehensible to me. Well, the only way I can comprehend it is to go, oh, they don't care, and in fact are actively evil.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to believe that they're not. There are some people. I believe Donald Trump is a evil narcissist and a dumb man. That is my belief.
Yeah.
I don't believe all people are evil. Mm-hmm. I believe there are some. I'd like to say, but there are some people that just don't know. There's 6 of them in the whole world. You have to eliminate them all. But I believe there is some evil, but I'd like to believe that most people with education and meeting other people and being in the world and not in a bubble, they can't stay that way.
Your glass is full.
My glass is full. Mm-hmm. I do believe it.
So Danielle is an optimist. Things are tough right now in the short term, but it is her belief and her sincere hope that in the long run, things will ultimately work out. And I am going to try to let that influence me these days. You can follow Danielle on Twitter at Danielle Stuff. Although, as she said, she's not a fan of Twitter. Her podcast, which is great, is called Bitch Sesh, a Real Housewives Breakdown. She does that with Casey Wilson. It is on Earwolf. Danielle is also on Instagram, which is a pretty magazine. Her Instagram is Danielle, or I guess it's at. Do we have to say at anymore? I don't know if we do. Her Instagram is at Danielle Caroline Schneider. I usually end the show with a run of, do this, follow me here. But today, I'm only going to ask you for one thing. If you have time, would you please rate and review us on iTunes? That's it. The executive producer of Sean Conroy Gets Happier is Lauren Dunitz. Our field producer is Pete Galamaga. The show was recorded at All Things Comedy Studios in Burbank, California. Our sound engineer is Aaron Brungart, who is also our video technician. as well as an accomplished purveyor of pies and cream puffs. Special thanks to our guest, Danielle Schneider. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, and I hope you get happier. I will see you next week, and I hope that as you are listening to this, you are business casual.